Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. We are on day 2 of how to break free from financial, spiritual, and business death spiral. Again, genuinely not comfortable with that title.
It's a little dramatic.
It's a little dramatic, but there you go. So make sure you listen to part 1 yesterday. We went into a lot of detail of some, I think, a great way of checking and balancing your own life when you're experiencing, maybe a little overwhelmed. So go back and listen to yesterday's show. And if you want the notes from yesterday's show, make sure you're subscribing to harrisrealestatedaily.com. That is our newsletter. That is the only place you're going to be able to find our complete comprehensive notes from that podcast. A lot of you guys use the podcast notes for your own information, but a lot of you are using it also to do coaching and training on your own. Maybe some of you are using it for social media posts. However, whenever we can be of service to you, we will happily do so. But remember, the only place to get the notes are going to be harrisrealestatedaily.com. So hop over there right now and then drop in your email address, and then you have to go over to your actual email and you have to confirm, double opt-in, that you want the newsletter. Otherwise, you will not get it. So Julie, let's pick up where we left off yesterday at step number 4.
That's right. Steps 1 through 3 were yesterday, and perhaps a more friendly title than how to get you away from a death spiral of being stuck would be just when you feel stuck, when you feel frustrated, when you feel like you're not going anywhere, you don't have any direction. That's what we started talking about yesterday. So step 4 is to take immediate focused action. Nothing improves until you act. There's an old prayer that says, or an old saying that goes like this: when you pray, move your feet. And that is about taking action. The fastest way to regain control is to generate cash flow and clear out your distractions. So here's how to start. Number 1, this is all under step number 4, but the first step is to prioritize profit.
Well, Julie, let's stop there because you're reminding me of an actual coaching call I just had with Casey. Okay, I won't say her last name, but she's in Florida. A brilliant, absolutely wonderful gal, and she was needing some focus with regards to a specific financial goal that she had. And I'll tell you guys what it was too. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. It was recruiting for her EXP Realty team and her EXP Realty Revenue Share group. And so she approached the call with me with the understanding, or she was wanting to, as everyone often says, I want to recruit big teams and brokerages. Everybody and their brother wants to basically, somehow hit a home run and not ever actually have to go to the effort of recruiting a bunch of agents or sponsoring a bunch of agents. Like somehow she wants to recruit one person and that one person is going to equal 1,000. That's the big dream, right? Well, I listened to what she said. She explained to me her rationale. I've heard literally thousands of people tell me the same thing. And then I stopped and I said, okay, well, let me ask you, what is your personal monthly overhead? And then she said, she didn't really know, okay? And I surmised it was probably around $10,000, maybe $12,000 a month. She said she doesn't have a lot of debt, but she had a house payment and a car payment and things like that. So I figured out it's probably around $10,000 or $12,000 a month. And then I figured, I asked her how much money she's making from revenue share now, and she's making $50,000 a year from revenue share. And so she's basically halfway there to accomplishing her goal. And the goal is, and this is what I suggested she focus on, is having enough revenue share coming in every month to cover her own personal overhead. So she's going from this thinking that I need to recruit these big teams and brokerages so that I can have all these agents and I can have this really big, personal sales team and I can have this really big revenue share group. And it was very overwhelming because there was no direction to it. So then when I suggested she does, just so you guys can follow along here, and you can do this in any aspect of your life, is don't think about the overall arching goal. It's a wonderful, awesome, amazing goal, but there's too much to do between then and now. So instead, break it down into little micro steps. So if you have to go and you're going to decide you're going to run a 26-mile marathon, and that's one of your goals for next year. So let's say you're going to then, well, shit, if I had to go and run 26 miles today, there's no way I would do it. But I could hire a trainer. I could start studying how to do it, and I certainly could run a mile. I could run 5 miles, and every time I went out to practice, I might add some distance, and then eventually I'm able to work my body and my mindset up to the point where I can run 26 miles. That's the way that you should approach any sort of specific goal that you're trying to accomplish. But here's the point I made with Casey. She was focused on the number of people she wanted to have in her group She wasn't focused on really what the output was, which is going to be a certain amount of revenue share that she was going to receive or commission she was going to receive every month from the fact that she'd built this group. And by refocusing her on that, guess what? The numbers got a lot easier because we were able to quickly figure out, okay, if you have this many people in your group now and you're making this much, well, then that's this much per agent. And we did the math backwards and averaged it out and the whole thing. And then we figured out how big her group actually had to be. And then I explained to her that, when it comes to recruiting, and it comes to anything in life, but basically, 10 people that you speak with, on average, 10 people you bring into your brokers, you're going to know what I'm saying. One of them is going to be somebody that's going to be really investable. They're going to be somebody that's actually going to turn out to be a real business person, really focused, and going to be somebody you're going to want to invest a lot of time, energy, and money in, maybe, right? So, but the other 9, God bless them, but probably half of them won't ever recruit anybody, maybe never sell a house. And maybe 4 of them will recruit 2 or 3 people, or if it's for the sake of a real estate team, 4 of them will, basically sell a house or sell 3 or 4 houses. You guys get the point? So when hoping that she finds somebody who's a home run hitter, the only way she's going to find the home run hitter, to the point that Julie was making earlier, basically what you have to move your feet, is to recruit 10 people. So when she recruits 10 people, whatever the number is that's commensurate with her accomplishing her financial goal, a probability tells us that one of those 10 people is going to be somebody that's actually going to end up recruiting probably 10 people themselves, and that, and then it grows that way. That's the way life works, not just when it comes to building a brokerage or building a revenue share group. That's the way everything in life works. It's going to be compounding, but the only way you're ever going to win at a large level consistently is if you stay in the game consistently. And for her sake, we figured out that she needs to recruit approximately 18 people per year, which she absolutely can do. She's been doing that fairly easily. So she keeps doing that. Statistically, we know she's going to win, and she should have all of her personal overhead covered by probably the end of, I would say, second or third quarter of next year, right? Now, why did I tell you guys all this? Because A, it was fresh on my mind, but B, because that's how you go and take a overwhelmingly complicated goal and break it down to micro steps, so then it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And then if, for example, your goal is to have 10 listings at all times. Well, I'm going to give you guys the short code for getting 10 listings at all times. Make at least 10 contacts a day. That's the number. So if you want to have 20 listings at all times, it's 20. Adjust accordingly. And then what you'll discover is that it all comes down to numbers. If you make 20 contacts, actual conversations with decision-making adults, you're probably going to set, if you're new at it, you might set 5 appointments. And if you're new at it, you might end up taking 2 or 3 listings, or maybe 1 or 2 listings. Now, when you get better at it, you get some coaching, you learn our script, you use our pre-listing pack, then your numbers are going to increase dramatically. But every single day, you know what you're supposed to do, because it all comes down to simple, almost always single-digit numbers. How many contacts, how many appointments, all the rest of it. So that is ultimately the way to move past your belief that you have a mindset issue, is because you're focused on the actual activity.
Very well said. So let me translate a little bit, because you had a lot going on there. You and I are used to being on coaching calls. We're used to talking to agents. So number one, in the case of Casey, she was stuck not because she lacks skill, not because she lacks particular focus or goals. It's because what she was focusing on was the bigger picture versus what you did for her, which is to help her break that down into both incremental steps, number-based steps, and to remind her that it's the consistency of making those calls for the recruiting as well as for building listing inventory. It is a case of talk to these many people, you're going to have this many ratios, and you're going to move the needle daily, not just by, and I think every agent dreams of having one conversation and that gets 10 listings or that gets 100 people from a brokerage.
It's the same thing. When you're starting to invest, if you want to build passive income from dividend-paying stocks, for example, it's really not complicated. Here it is. Ready? Buy Vanguard index funds that are comprised of the S&P 500. I just told you. And set the dividends to reinvest. And then you're going to get the benefits of compounding interest. How are you going to build that up? Every single cent you make from any source, a certain percent basically gets squirreled away into Vanguard index funds. And by index funds, I mean probably no more than 3, VOO, VIO, maybe you do your own homework. But the moral of the story is that's not a complicated system. And don't overanalyze it. There has never been, as far as I know, any of these big, well-known, expensive investor types that have outperformed the S&P 500 over a long period of time. So that's how you basically understand how you're going to essentially, save enough money to one day live off dividends if that's your objective. It all just comes down to numbers. It all just comes down to daily activities. The challenge that all of us have, or the daily activities that we have to do, are oftentimes really boring.
And they're daily.
And they're daily.
Right?
It's monotonous boredom pays off. You should write that down. Monotonous boredom pays off. And the second thing that Julie and I love to say, but you guys hate to hear, is if you want ever increasing levels of success in your business and personal life, you have to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. Which means the things that you're avoiding the most in your business and personal life, if you wrote those down on a piece of paper, are probably the very things where you're going to get the most benefit from. All right, Julie, point number 2, eliminate the non-essential.
Eliminate the non-essential. Stop doing anything that does not directly contribute to your bottom line. Things that might go on this list: obsessing over your branding, spending hours perfecting your CRM, or anything else where the sentence starts with tweaking or perfecting or working on. Wasting time on social media. So the first point was about taking action, doing things consistently and incrementally. This point is about what to get rid of from your schedule, what to stop doing. And those are the top 3 things from our list, but I'm sure that our listeners can add some other things. Again, anything talking about tweaking, working on, getting ready to get started types of things.
So how do you know what to eliminate? Here's the answer. Anything that's not going to put money in your pocket with, like, I'd say 99% certainty in the next 90 days or less.
Clarity.
That's it. Anything that's basically where you say, I'm investing in my business, what you're really doing is you're really basically procrastinating doing the real work of real estate, which is having real conversations with real decision-making adults. There is not a salesperson, that is what you are, guys. Read your real estate licenses. It says salesperson. There's not a salesperson on planet Earth that operates at the highest level that does not know, live and dies by the simple fact that they know their success is directly related to the number of actual conversations they have with qualified folks about, buying or selling a jet or a boat or Ginsu knives, wherever the hell it is. It's all about numbers of contacts. It's all about meaningful conversations. It's all about learning how to pre-qualify. That's all it is. There's so many people out there. You guys are in a blessed industry because you happen to be selling something that every single person wants, aspirational to, wants, has, is aspirational to upgrade, wants more of. There's nothing else like real estate. You think of something else other than maybe food and water, right? That people are always going to want, no matter what age they are. Always going to need. It even goes beyond want. People need a place to live, right? And that might not be buying. It might be leasing. You guys get the concept here? You're not selling Ginsu knives. I'm good. I got knives. I'm fine. I don't want a boat. I get seasick. Not interested.
I already have a car. Don't need more.
Yep. Exactly. I'm so stocked up on shoes, you don't even know it, right? But everybody's interested in real estate. So you guys are smart enough to sell something that everyone always needs. So you've got to stop thinking that leads are hard to find. They are not. They're abundant. They're everywhere. They're just not landing on your lap because you're spending too much time doing the things that are putting you in between, that are essentially moving the people who have their hands in the air right now saying, yes, I want to buy or sell real estate. The activities that you're doing are not attracting those people to your life. That is your choice. So be honest with yourself. How many actual pre-qualified, ready-to-go listing leads do you have? They're going to list their houses with you in the next 60 to 90 days. What's the number, right? Is it 0? Is it 100? What's the number, right? Do more of what's working. If you're not generating listing leads, stop doing what you're doing that you convince yourself is work, where it's really, at the end of the day, just work theater. Point number 3, addressing financial realities.
All right, review your expenses using monarchmoney.com. We recommend this for all of our coaching clients. I think I have nearly 100% of my private clients using Monarch Money now. So that's monarchmoney.com. It's online, but it's also an app or a similar tool that gives you the dashboard of all of your financial facts. And be brutally honest with yourself and your spouse. If your cash flow isn't improving, cut non-essential expenses immediately. Now, I appreciate what you said about when you asked Casey what's her monthly overhead, and she wasn't entirely sure. That is a very common phenomenon. That is why we have the real estate treasure map to help them with their financial reality first. So if you remember in yesterday's podcast, one of your points was, if you don't know where you are currently, how can you figure out where you want to be? And that comes down to your finances. Usually when I ask a coaching client, I think you would agree with this, what is your monthly overhead? They'll say, well, I think it's about this. But when they use the treasure map, and it asks them to go through your checkbook, go through your credit cards, go through your monthly spend. It's usually about 20 to 30% higher.
The Real Estate Treasure Map is our fill-in-the-blank business and life plan. You guys can get that when you join Premier Coaching. It is available for you right now. It is the perfect time of year. Any time of the year is a perfect time of year to be completing your Real Estate Treasure Map. Just go to premiercoaching.com or text the word Premier to 47372 and download the Real Estate Treasure Map. And I have a question for you. So you said all of your personal coaching clients are on Monarch Money?
I said nearly.
Nearly. Okay,
There's
so
a few new ones I'm working on.
I've suggested to everyone all the time,
Yeah.
and it is interesting to me how many are seemingly enthusiastic about it but never do it.
Why do you think that is?
Well, actually, I was going to ask you that. Why do you think it is?
Because it's the dose of reality.
That's the reason why.
Yes.
That's what I come up with too. Your mic is starting to take a nosedive because of your shirt. So button this right here. Do it yourself.
All
Button
right.
that right there, and
So,
you'll be fine.
but I agree with you. I think it's an interesting phenomenon that, yes, they show some enthusiasm for that, but they also, kind of dodge it and avoid it. So on the one hand, they're saying, I need more clarity on my finances, but then when you ask to have more clarity, that's kind of a scary thing. And then the ones that actually embrace it and do it, there's always a sigh of relief because now they're out of the unknown. They're out of the guessing. And I think a lot of financial stress comes from fear of the unknown.
Well, it's also, for married people, it's also, if they've never actually determined how they're going to go about, how the money, like Casey, for example, her husband's the one that basically pays all the bills. That's the reason she didn't know.
Sure.
But that's fine. It's okay. That's a great way to, that's typical in marriages. One spouse will be, you're running a lot of our financial stuff. I don't know all the numbers like you do. But we do visit Monarch Money on a regular basis just to check in on everything. And Monarch Money is just a fantastic, I'd say, coach to monitor all of the flows of your cash flow. And net worth, obviously, is another thing it tracks. But it is fascinating. So if you recoil at the idea of having something that's going to make all your finances so transparent, it's probably because you've got some head junk about money, and that head junk is always going to prevent you from moving forward and becoming and having any sort of financial freedom. Now, I'm going to give you a little advanced coaching here. Don't try to sort your head junk out. Don't read a self-improvement book and try to understand why you think about money the way you think about money, because there's so many books. That's just a big, death spiral in itself, trying to figure out your mindset.
Creative avoidance.
Well, really, that is the bottom line. So the move is going to be for you to go to just do what we ask you to do, sit down with your spouse if that's relevant, and then get all of your facts and figures and all your account numbers into Monarch Money and just get it done. Don't try to figure out why you think the way you think about money. Who cares? Just get it into Monarch Money, and then set up transfers so they happen automatically into, say, for example, your Charles Schwab account that's going to be flowing money to your 3 index funds that are hopefully comprised of like S&P 500 type things, right? You set all this up in autopilot, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. It doesn't become a point of contention. That's the main thing. And if it is a point of contention right now in your heart, it just causes you stress. The only way to get over it is just to freaking get it done. Step 5, Julie, build the new you for the new market.
Yes, that's right. So a quote from Peter Drucker, who said, the only way to predict the future is for you to create it. That's related to our favorite, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? You've got to own it. The market has changed and so must you. So here's your new playbook. Lead a profit-driven business. Profit, not units or gross revenue, has to be your ultimate goal. Refer to the previous point about knowing what's happening with your money. Set your magic number. What is your magic number? You have to know how many listings and buyers, especially listings, you need to generate consistent cash flow. So there is a ratio of total active listings versus how many predictable sales they will create month in and month out. Again, refer to the treasure map, refer to your coaching, because this is one of the most predictable numbers that you can create in your business. All of my coaching clients know their magic number. They can tell you exactly how many it takes in order for them to generate the business they need monthly. And stay objective. Use tools, again, like Monarch Money to track your financial progress weekly or even daily. Adjust quickly if the numbers aren't improving. Ignoring it generally does not improve things.
So your magic number is the number that you're going to determine when you actually do the real estate treasure map. And that's going to be the number of listings you need at all times to meet or exceed your financial goals, dreams, aspiration, all the things. So make sure you're getting your treasure map done. And remember, we're giving it to you for free if you join Premier Coaching. And Premier Coaching is free for the first 14 days. And we're about to launch Premier Coaching 2.0. We're going to launch it next month, which is also going to include our new designation, which is called Ethical Real Estate Professional. If you guys want to check out Ethical Real Estate Professional, there's a standalone website for it now. Just go to ethicalrealestateprofessional.com. Or, by the way, just Google Ethical Real Estate, and we come up #1 in Google searches for that website. But you're going to be getting all of that as part of being a Premier Coaching client. But definitely for now, absolutely positively download your real estate treasure map.
All right, so the last part of building the new you for the new market is to make sure you take the points from this podcast and commit to your daily minimum standards. For example, Tim said if you want 10 active listings at all times, start with making 10 real contacts every single working day and set at least an appointment every day. All right, step number 6, learn from success stories.
And remember, I know we're going fast, guys. We're kind of fire hosing you. I have this visualization of like Zoe when she was 3 trying to drink all the water from a hose. Right? So I know we're fire hosing you, but remember, you can get all these notes if you just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com, and the notes give you a lot of the drill down that we're kind of going over as much as we can, intertwining with our points, because we want to give you guys as much as you can. Look, point number 5 may not have meant anything to you, but point number 6 will. And so Julie and I are always focused on delivering as much as we can to you guys in the shortest period of time, which is usually around 30 minutes a day. So remember, Harris Real Estate Daily is our daily newsletter. Make sure you subscribe to that right away. Julie, point number 6, step 6 rather, is learn from success stories. Real people have turned things around in incredible ways. Here are a few examples. And by the way, when I was writing this, I could have come up with 1,000 examples.
Sure.
And let me just preface this by saying most people don't become millionaires, single-digit millionaires, until they're in their 50s and 60s. Why? Because it takes that long. That's why, right? And there's so many examples of people that were in their 50s and 60s that started their businesses, and then they're known now. Like Warren Buffett, I forget what this statistic is about him, but he was in his 50s, and now he's in his 90s, right? But he was in his 50s before I think he became, it's a single digit, maybe like 5 million or something like that. I don't remember. But there's so many other examples, like Enzo Ferrari. He built his legendary brand in his 50s after a series of setbacks. We can use even Glenn Sanford from eXp Realty. He was basically on his heels as a result of the housing crisis in 2008, after he had some personal financial and business setbacks. That's when he started eXp Realty, and now look what eXp Realty is, the largest independent real estate brokerage in the world. By the way, if you guys want to talk with us about joining eXp Realty, please do so, and you can do it one of 2 ways. You can just, if you've not yet chosen a sponsor and you're looking for a sponsor that's going to be very proactive in your success at eXp Realty, feel free to text me directly at 512-758-0206, 512-758-0206, or you can just text the letters. If you're just getting ready to get started learning about eXp, text the letters EXP to 47372, and we'll text you back a link to our eXp site, and you'll learn why literally thousands of agents are joining with Julie and I at eXp Realty every year, because not only do you, when you partner with Julie and I, not only do you get all the benefits of eXp Realty, but you get a whole heap load of other really great stuff. So make sure you text the letters EXP to 47372, or just text me directly if you're ready to join and you want to skip the line at 512-758-0206.
All right, step number 7, focus on your own emotional resilience. The hardest part of change is overcoming emotional resistance. So try some strategies. Reframe. For some of you, you are having to scale down. View it as a strategic move, not a failure.
But let's preface that.
Yeah.
When I wrote that point, it's not scaling down in terms of your personal lifestyle.
No.
It's scaling down, in most cases, in the amount of money you're spending in your business. And what you haven't realized yet is, like, I get the scaling down, letting people go, let's use real words, right? Firing people is hard as hell. It's a very emotionally taxing. But I'm going to give you guys a bitter pill to swallow. The way you think about them is not the way they think about you, right? So you have done all these, crazy things to try to generate leads, keep them motivated, educated, all the rest of it. But they're just not generating transactions. It's because they've got this problem, they've got that problem. And everyone says, you're supposed to build your team culture. You're supposed to basically supporting people. How are you going to build a brokerage or real estate team if you haven't done all these things? And so you have been, your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your potential have been co-opted by people who are not going to actually perform to the point where they're going to be in alignment with what your goals are. They're just hanging out in your life, taking up, head space, waiting around for you to basically push them out the door and say, bye-bye, we are not a good match. And here's the thing you're not understanding. By you holding on to people that need to be pushed out of the nest, you're actually holding them back. They're definitely holding you back, but you're holding them back because their greatest achievement in their life might happen as a result of you firing them. So when I say scaling down from this point, I do mean literally, and start with essentially what usually is your biggest single cost, which is your overhead from people, and then look at your other expenses and be an absolute jerk about expenses. If you're not generating real close transactions from that postcard campaign and you're moving into your 3rd year of mailing out those damn things, it's not working, okay? Yeah. You need to stop doing it and instead maybe put that money in the S&P 500, right? You guys got to really reframe how you're thinking and ask yourselves right now, Like, what is it? What are the 3 things I want to be most proud of having accomplished in 12 months? If you don't, if nothing pops to your mind, reframe it. What are the 3 things you're most proud of having accomplished in the last 12 months? In the last 12 months, what are the 3 things you accomplished that you did, or that you're most proud of? And they have to be real things. You saved $250,000. You lost 25 pounds. Got it? So you need to have real specific drill down expectations for what you're going to do in the next 12 months, or you're not going to really have anything to show for the next 12 months of effort. You might sell more homes. You might even generate more revenue, but you're going to probably not increase your net worth. You're probably not going to increase any potential passive income. Isn't your goal to be free? Isn't your goal to be financially free? Guys, please make the most of what this market has to offer. And great news for you, you are in the right place at the right time, because there's no doubt the market's going to get better in the next 12 months.
All right, so 10 things to do immediately are included in the notes. We talked about most of this. Most of this is a summary talking about things like Monarch Money, creating your treasure map. Tim told you 3 times during this podcast how to get your treasure map, setting up your 30, 60, and 90-day projections.
Go to premiercoaching.com and just join. Quit procrastinating. Don't say you're going to do it next month. Do it today. And that's just the bottom line. And again, the notes, Julie's got to get to another coaching call. That's the reason she's hustling us right now.
Yep.
The notes from today's podcast with your 10 immediate action items are available for you on the newsletter. So just subscribe. If you're a subscriber right now, as I think 25,000 of you are, make sure you're reading our notes every day. We write these with the intent of helping you guys at the highest level. This is just an overview. If you love this podcast, which I know you do, because this is the #1 daily podcast for real estate professionals, imagine what Premier Coaching, let alone Premier Coaching 2.0, is going to do for you. So do not procrastinate. Definitely become a subscriber to the newsletter. Go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Do that urgently. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.